Oh, wait a minute, I guess I'm not cheating. I guess you're stuck with just me. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. I really appreciate it. You know, I was a landed immigrant in Canada. Are we all Canadian? Is everybody Canadian here? I immigrated to Canada. And that was my plan, loved it. I lived in Toronto when it was Toronto the Good. I moved to Toronto. I immigrated as a studio vocalist. And then I started singing with Ronnie Hawkins. If you remember Ronnie, we lost him, but he brought rock and roll to Canada. And then I joined the Charlottetown Festival Repertory Company. And one of the musicals I did was taken to Broadway. So that musical closed, but it was 1976, and the door that opened wasn't for singing, it was for movies. So by 1981, when I had the option to become a Canadian citizen, I couldn't fulfill it. I goofed. I hadn't been able, I hadn't lived anywhere. I was living, I worked so much in those early years that I would go from shoot to shoot to shoot, living in I didn't even buy a house until I was like 36. Didn't have a place of my own. But anyway, as a kid, in my 20s, I was just working so much I couldn't fulfill the residency requirement. And also, I was making a lot of money. And I thought, wait, do I really want to pay double taxes? And I wasn't thinking that far ahead. I just forgot about it. Then, 9/11, I said to my family, we're going back there. But couldn't do it. And then during COVID, I thought, no, I'm really going back there. And it's closed now. You can't get into Canada unless you're a gazillionaire or something like that. And I have family there. In fact, everybody should check my WhatsApp to see when they're coming. Go ahead. Who's going to talk to you now?
I was going to say, when you travel now, you go on vacation, does it feel like work?
What's that?
I said, now when you go on vacation, it must just feel like work, considering most of your career has been spent on vacation at this point.
No, okay, I really missed that. I really missed that. What'd you say now?
I said, well, since most of your career has been spent with you on a vacation, I said, now when you go on vacation, it doesn't feel like work.
Okay.
Have you?
Well, okay, I'm still not a big person because, I've been in 120 movies.
It's true.
And I've been in four of them are vacations.
Yeah.
So, been a lot of...
Never a Canadian vacation, which was a little...
What?
Never a Canadian vacation,
I know,
which
we
is a
should
little...
go to Banff. Well, you know what? We should have done a vacation movie where we go to that same hotel that they made The Shining in. Horror vacation. I'm trying to find out when my relatives are going to be here. Anyways, okay. Does everybody want to say hi to my cousin Nadia?
Sure.
Here I am. Okay, hold on. I'm going to tell her. She wants, okay.
It's Nadia?
Hi, just to prove that I've really been too busy to get back to your WhatsApp question about when you should come down here. Look what I'm doing right now.
Hi, Nadia!
This is Ken. Yeah, so when am I done with this?
About 20 minutes.
Oh, I'm going to be done with this at 20. What time is it now?
We are 1:50.
Okay, anyway, if you can come down, great. Don't go to too much trouble. She's in Hamilton. But I just didn't want you to think I was ignoring you. I just don't want to ignore everybody here, too. It's been terrible. I've been torn apart, torn in two. Okay, I'll be done with everything, I guess, by around 4 or something. Okay, see you. Say bye to Nadia, everybody.
Bye, Nadia.
Okay. I feel so guilty.
I see on some of your social pages, you're a gardener. You have a really beautiful,
I'm
wild...
insane garden.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't, we had this terrible drought in California. And it was really, really bad. And I looked at my water bill and I thought, well, that's nuts. What am I doing? And I realized that the city taxes you in proportion to how much land you have. And even if you don't irrigate it. Anyway, I looked at that well and I thought, well, my kids are grown up now. We don't really need to run or something like that. So I ripped it all out and I did a seeding with California native wildflowers. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I can't even describe it. So I do have an Instagram. If any of you all have Instagram, follow me. It's official Beverly D'Angelo. at Instagram. When I first started it about a year ago, I was really into it. And, I tried to post everything every day and do, like, all the rules that you're supposed to do. And then I thought, wait a minute, I feel like I'm in some kind of contest to get followers, and that's not really me. I'm more someone who just looks for opportunities to express myself and make friends and stuff. So I didn't get into I probably should have put nudes up. That would lose me followers at this point in my life.
You all following Beverly?
Yes.
Yeah. Now here, of course, this weekend, appearing with Chevy, and I saw the photo ops outside of the car, which was very cool. How often do you guys see each other on the road? Is this a rare occurrence?
I haven't done a lot of these conventions, but the ones that I have done, I think this is the seventh one in the past 2-3 years. I think I've been with Chevy, so I certainly see him. But we're really good friends, and we have been all our lives. And he has a place that's 5 minutes from my house in California. As well as he lives on the East Coast too.
How does it feel? We've done so many, projects. You're seeing 150 projects, but you are a Christmas tradition for a lot of people.
I know. I found that.
How does that feel to be a part of that?
It feels great. It really feels great. I kind of don't live in that world where I'm like, I'm a mom. I'm an actress. I try to stay authentic and tell the truth. I don't know. I don't watch my own movies.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
That's what I mean. But
so you're in your house at Christmas. That's not part of your
No, but
tradition.
what was happening was my kids, by the time they were about 10, all the parents of their classmates would say, "Oh, Christmas vacation's part of our tradition and everything." So I watched it with them. I thought, this is a really funny movie. I really like it, and I do notice that it's become over the years. It's become so much a part of people's traditions. I do this thing too called Cameo, where you go online and you can get a personalized cameo from me, and I just noticed that Father's Day, Christmas, Thanksgiving, some Valentine's Day, but especially around Christmas, there's so many people that say, the Griswolds are in our home every Christmas as part of tradition,
I think everyone can relate. We've got that uncle, we've got that neighbor.
Everybody's got a cousin Eddie, or they know someone who's got a cousin Eddie, and families, and they're good people. The Griswolds are good people.
And who hasn't overcooked a turkey or had a squirrel on a tree? It happens,
I've never met a Griswold fan that I didn't like.
That's a question.
I went to an autograph convention once, and there was this actor there, and after the day when he said, "Oh, I'm going to go home," and I said, "Why?" He said, "It's exhausting." I said, "Well, what I like to do is I like to talk to each person that comes to my table, because you look them straight in the eyes and you feel that love and appreciation. You spend some time with somebody. It's nice. It gives you energy, like when you go visit somebody, right?" He said, "No, you don't understand. He was from The Walking Dead."
No.
And he said, my fans are, shell-shocked and traumatized and vets, and he said he couldn't take it. So I was like, well, send him out, I'll heal him.
Well, I know there's a lot of fans here today. If you have a question for Beverly, we have 2 audience mics. You can start lining up. And before we get to that, speaking of Christmas vacation, there was a rumor online that the Chevy's rant of his boss was ad-libbed and potentially. There was a rumor online that Chevy's rant about his boss in the film was ad-libbed.
Okay.
And apparently the rumor is that cast members were holding signs
100%.
with words, and he was kind of.
That's right. We all had a poster board around our necks with various parts of that rant, but not in order, so you wouldn't be going like that. But they were numbered and everything, so that as he was doing it, he could go from person to person and look like it was just like, oh yeah.
So not ad-lib, but he was written.
It wasn't ad-lib.
Okay.
No, that was John Hughes. The guy who wrote Christmas Vacation wrote the first one. That's John Hughes. He's passed away. He was from Chicago. He started that whole thing of those kind of comedies. Like, did he write Home Alone too?
Yes.
And family comedies that had heart and adventure and conflict and stuff. But he's from Chicago, and he wrote about the people he knew, and he had a big heart,
And the other rumor was when you grab
well, so the point was that, of course, those were John's words. That's what
Oh,
I
it
was
was.
saying.
It was. So that someone can clear that up. There were signs, but it was not edited.
Yeah.
And the other rumor, the crotch grab was improvised.
That is true.
That is okay.
And I'll tell you the story. So the thing is that, you know, I mean, Chevy's a big, and when I worked with him, he was really at the peak of his, he doesn't have films anymore, but at the time, you know, he was very powerful, and no one ever paid any attention to me. And on that Christmas vacation, you know, I was saying, I hope I'm doing okay, because I didn't have a director who would say, oh, that's a good take, or do it again. You know, I didn't have anybody to say whether it was good or not. You want that as an actor, right? Especially in those big scenes with everybody, you want to know that you got your best work out. That's just me. So anyway, I was like Farrah, and we had, at the end of the day, we had just a few more minutes left, and we needed to get that big group shot. Because there were so many people in that scene, and also when they scheduled the work as an actor, I mean, some of those actors, that was their last day, we had to get it. It was really coming down to the crunch, and we needed to get that shot of the group being told to freeze. And I said, you know, the director doesn't pay any attention to what I'm doing. Yes, he does. I went, I'll bet you. And so I said, here's what I'm going to do. We've got, I bet that he won't notice it. I'm going to put my hand like it's on your crotch, like I'm guarding the family jewels, right? He goes, okay, fine. And so then the director goes, action, and we get the cue, which is freeze. And I went, like that. And that was that. Okay? Then there was one other, so that's all they had. So there's a thing called matching. So they had to get coverage of, go back to the guy, and then they had to get coverage of me shaking somebody's hands or putting my hand up, and they were stuck with the crotch shot. So and there's something where I go, like my hand's there, and I go, something like that, and we go back. Yeah. But no, that's my idea, and I'm not staying in.
Amazing. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that story. We have all these questions to ask, so let's start over with you. What is your question?
Good afternoon, Beverly. I have two questions for you. First question is, out of all, what was your favorite film throughout all the vacation films? And number two is, who, besides Chevy, who was your favorite person to work with in the vacation series?
Favorite scene in the film and all the films, in the vacation films, and your favorite person to work with besides Chevy?
You know, it's hard to answer. In all the vacation films, I don't know. There have been so many moments that were just magical and great. I think the first one was really, you know, the first time for anything is great, but probably in that first one, that was John's script. It was Harold Ramis was the director. He also helped write it. Chuck and I had just met. Yeah, thank you for the plus for Harold. And so I'd say anything in that first one. And what was the second question?
Favorite person to work with in the series besides Chevy?
You know what? Miriam Flynn, who played Randy's wife, has been a lifelong friend ever since we met. To the point that I started to, I think by Vegas vacation, I thought we were sisters. And she said, no, remember, it's cousins. We're gonna go see your cousin. She said, I'm your cousin. So I'd forgotten, I thought we were sisters by the time we did the third one.
Speaking of the Vegas vacation, how about Wayne Newton?
Wasn't he a sweetheart? Wayne was a sweetheart, and he was married to a girl from my home state, Columbus, Ohio. I went to his house, met his penguins. He said he called them the boys. All dressed up like his band. And he said the funniest thing. We were talking. He had married a girl from Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm from Columbus. And he said, oh yeah. I said, oh, but my first wife. Because I guess he's like, he had a career that goes all over this. I take him to the cleaners. And he said his first wife, he said she wanted the house. Because I was in his house, it was a pretty magnificent house. And I said, well, so, but this, you kept it, right? He said, oh yeah. And I said, well, how did you do that? And he said, I'll give you the house. Now get it off my property. I remember that. cutest guy in the world, and they had so many chihuahuas. And I said, Jim, what's the story with the herd of chihuahuas? And he said that every time his wife wanted to have a baby, he'd say he'd get another dog. 17 chihuahuas. Sweetest man ever.
All right, over to you. What is your question?
Hi, my question is about the vacation movies too. A lot of times it was you and Chevy together, but was it strange working with different sets of kids because they got recast a lot?
The reason that there were different kids was because I was talking about John Hughes, and this was the first film that John Hughes had written, and Anthony Michael Hall was brilliant. The first movie was based on a short story that John had written that was published in Esquire, I think. It was called Vacation 58, and it was from the point of view of Rusty. But they changed it, made it about Clark as the Simpson. Anyway, so with the success of that movie, a lot of opportunities opened up for John, and the first thing he wanted to do was to do more movies with Michael. So Michael was not available for European Vacation, and Matty Simmons, one of the producers, thought, well, if we don't have the same Rusty, we should get a different Audrey. So that started the different, because we kept the kids basically the same age. So like, even in Vegas, the kids were still teenagers, even though that was, 15 years later.
Thank you.
And I think I saw something online that Anthony Michael Hall, he grew so much during the film that by the end of it, you were the same height.
That's because we had the original ending was changed. In the original ending, we get to Wally World, it's closed. Clark goes to the hardware store, gets a gun. We go to Roy Wally's house, and at one point, we make him sing and dance for us. That was the movie. And then I got a call back like 6 months later, and they said, you know what? We're gonna shoot a new ending because we think the audience everything's about getting to Wally World, and we never get in there. So that spawned John Candy as the guard being held hostage.
Cool. All right, let's go back over to you.
Did I answer the question?
Well, you did. Yeah.
Did it have anything to do with the question?
You definitely did. You did. Go ahead, what is your question?
Hi, my name is DJ Salvatore. Nice to meet you.
Hi, DJ.
I have a question after this. I hope this isn't painful. I know this is more a sore spot. Obviously, Harold Ramis died, what was it, 10 years ago this year?
Mhm.
2014?
Yes.
That's not my question, though. What was it? And he wrote Ghostbusters, too.
Yes.
What was he like as a person, actually?
The most wonderful, sweetest, kindest man who really loves people and loves all the unique qualities of people. That was his daughter in the first vacation, his daughter Violet, when Randy says, "Walk with that tongue, Clark. She can't talk, but she whistles like a bird." That was his real daughter, and his daughter wrote a book about it. I can't remember the title off the top of my head. We'd have to Google that, but if you want to know more about Harold and his experience with vacation and her experience, get that book written by Violet Ramis.
Okay.
Oh, no, that's not her name. That was her. Oh, yeah, no, it is Violet. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, another question. Well, also about Harold. Were you guys close? Like, not just with Harold, but the whole cast, like the first cast, Anthony, Dana, Chevy, and you, Marcel.
Well, that film, the first one, was shot all on location except for the sequence that we represented as Chicago. That was on the lot. And also in the house. That was in LA. So when you're on the road and you're all in the same hotel, you're all in the same time. Christy was along for the ride because she stayed with the shoot the whole time and did like various photography things. But we all did travel together, and that brought us together. As I said, Miriam and I became friends. Chevy and I became lifelong friends. I was very close with Anthony Michael Hall for a long time. Dana Dana was like the heartbeat. She's kept in touch with everybody to this day. And you know, in the Christmas Vacation, Juliette Lewis I met when she was 2, because way before, oh gosh, in 1976, so that was 7 years before Vacation, when I was just getting started in films. I was in the movie Every Which Way But Loose with Clint Eastwood. And it was Clint Eastwood, Sandra Locke, Jeffrey Lewis, me. We were the 4 leads. Well, starring Clint, of course. But so Jeffrey Lewis was Juliet's dad, and I met Juliet when she was 2. There's a film aficionado back there in the pink shirt. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Amazing. Thank you so much for the question.
Thank you.
Okay, over to this microphone. Go ahead.
So you actually mentioned John Candy. That was my question. How was it working with John Candy, being the comedy legend that he is? Because he had a relationship with Johnny Hughes, being with Uncle Block.
That's right.
So I was wondering how your what was working with John Candy.
Love him. At the time when we did the reshoot, a very good friend of mine was the drummer in Toto. I don't know if you ever heard of that band. Anyway, Jeff Picaro, great drummer. I was living in Italy at the time when I came back to do the reshoot for the new ending. But so I called up my friends in LA. One of them was Jeff, and I told him I was working with John Candy. John Candy wasn't really known, but there was this show, SCTV.
Oh, yeah.
It was coming from Niagara. Yeah. And so my friend Jeff said, oh God, I want to meet John Candy. I want to meet John Candy. So I worked that day. I said, John, listen, Jeff Picaro, John from Toto wants to meet you. And he said, great, I'd love it. So we made arrangements to meet for sushi at a restaurant that was really close to his hotel where he was staying in Universal City. So me and Jeff get there, John walks in, and he sits down, and he was kind of sort of said, are you okay? And I, oh yeah, I'm great. And he said, just worked out. Just worked out for an hour. Like that, right? And great, and the waiter comes up and says, you know, can I help you? He said, yeah, 2 sakis. It was just fun. He was just that guy. Work out, toss it back.
Amazing. Go ahead. What is your question?
This one wasn't for you, but one of the funny movies I've seen before was Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay, and you had that cameo appearance as Sally. What was it like working with John Chow and I think Cal Penn, and even Neil Patrick Harris? What was that like?
Neil was
working
great
with-
to work with, and they after that they wanted me. I got some requests to do that show. He was doing that How I Met Your Mother, but I didn't have time. I was raising my kids at the time. I was kind of pulled back from that. Those boys were so sweet and so smart, just intelligent and savvy. And John, you know, I think it was John that got politically involved too. Was it John or the other one? Kale. Yeah, he became very politically involved, an activist really, but kind, and you know, they gave you presents and they made you feel special. I had a wonderful time on that. Fun.
Amazing. Thanks so much. And then this is the shameless self-promotion portion of the panel, where you can. What do you have next? Where can we see you next? How can we find
There's
you?
a film coming out just came out in the States, called Summer Camp, and I have a sweet little role in that. It stars Diane Keaton, Kathy Bates, and Alfred Woodard, and the big scene that I'm in, I wrote. So I haven't seen it, but I know it's coming out in Canada. It's for the oldies but goodies, I think. And then I made another film with Tony Kaye, who directed American History X. It's called The Trainer. I don't know when that's going to come out, but it's going to come out sometime this year. And then I also have another film coming out this year called No Address. And this was a real drama where I played a homeless woman in a homeless encampment. And it's a real exploration of that situation of homelessness. And in fact, it's kind of faith-based, to be honest. But it's it's insight and a kind of based on, real people that we've met and interviewed. I've interviewed so many people. But it's insight into that homelessness crisis. And that'll be out this year too. And I just sang at the Grand Ole Opry at a tribute to Patsy Cline. So I'm going to be going back there. And that concert was filmed, and it's going to be on PBS for Special Masters. And I did that concert with Wynonna Judd and Pamela Tillis and Wynona's husband, Cactus Moser, produced the soundtrack. That's going to be on CBS. It's called Walking After Midnight, tribute to Patsy Cline. Just so many great singers on that show, you know. So that's in the pipeline this year.
All right, and make sure to follow Beverly as well for more
Thanks so
information.
much for coming on.
Please, make some noise for Beverly D'Angelo. Balls and everything. But thank you so much for coming out. Thanks for your time, and it's been a pleasure. Let's see you next time.